Hello! Today we are going to be talking about going to Disney World now in this new COVID type world that we live in. So, yeah, let's take a look at what it's like. Mount Rushmore! So we did get to go to Disney World. After all this COVID mess, we had already actually purchased this trip and it was supposed to happen during the shutdown. So it just kind of got delayed. So anyway, we got to go and I wanted to share a little bit about our trip, where we stayed and what it's like and what's different. And obviously things are always changing there. So what I share with you today, it may not be the case in 4 weeks from now. I don't know. But as far as I know, I think everything's about the same right now that it was when we were there. So, yeah, first thing, we stayed at Caribbean Beach Resort. And we've actually stayed at Caribbean Beach Resort before, but it was during a time that they were renovating, so there was a ton of construction. The pool was not open. The main building wasn't open. They just had like temporary tents set up for you to eat in and stuff. And we had a good trip then, and we got a really good deal on it because of the construction. But we wanted to go back and try it now that the construction's been completed and just kind of see what it was like. We also chose to stay there because with our annual passes, they have some amazing hotel deals right now. And Caribbean Beach, it was just, you really couldn't beat it. We actually were going to stay at Contemporary, but we decided to take someone along with us to help with the littlest one. And so we moved over to Caribbean Beach so that we could get 2 rooms, because 2 rooms at Contemporary was still going to be a little pricier than I wanted to pay, because I wasn't sure how well this trip was going to go with all the new rules. So anyway, Caribbean Beach just seemed like a good option. We'd been wanting to try there anyway. The kids had really wanted to see their pool. The pool looks really neat. Especially in pictures, it looks way neater than Contemporary's. And I've not actually stayed at Contemporary, so I can't tell you for sure. I just know from pictures it looked neater. So that's what we did. All right, guys, forgive the grainy video. I still don't know how to use the editing program on the computer, so I have to take the video off of the computer and use it on my phone by recording. Anyway, this is the entrance to Caribbean Beach. It is a Skyliner resort, which is really nice. I feel like as far as moderate resorts go, this just really makes this resort almost more like a deluxe resort. I really enjoy having the Skyliner. So this is us going on into the main entrance. So it's a really nice lobby. There's a place to eat. They have a gift shop, and then obviously like the area where you talk to anyone if you need to check in or need anything. And then right outside that they have their pool. And the pool has this little kid section here, which is probably for about 5 and 6-year-olds and under. I definitely think once you hit about 6, you're probably going to get too big. And then over on the other side, it has a bigger pool area. And you'll see masks were required at Disney pretty much everywhere unless you're eating or unless you're in the pool area. And it doesn't make a lot of sense, but if you're in the pool area, apparently it's, life is normal. So whatever. But, yeah, so you can see the Skyliner back there. And then this is the bigger pool area. So this is the hotel room, and we got 2 connecting rooms. And it's really great. You get 2 queen beds, and then you get these pull down beds that are like a smaller twin size bed. And we had that. The rooms are identical. They both had that. Now, I don't know if it's just because it was connecting or we just happened to end up with this one, but we actually got a corner room. So this one here is a corner room. And if you could get a corner room, I really recommend it because it just made the room seem a lot bigger, and we had more windows. So it was brighter and not so dark. Right now everything's closed, but anyway, the room for the most part pretty basic, nothing too crazy fancy, but It was really nice. It has a very similar feel to Polynesian. I would still probably opt for Polynesian over Caribbean Beach, but if you want something similar at a much cheaper price point, Caribbean Beach is the way to go. So this was it. So the pool had two slides. There's the one over here, and then there's another one over here. And they were just, the whole pool actually is great for kids. The whole pool is like only about maybe 4 to 4.5 feet. It was fairly shallow as far as pools go. And so I really actually liked that for the kids because I knew no matter where they were in the pool that they could stand up and be okay. So, and obviously I know you can drown in any type of water, but it was just nice to know they weren't going to get so far out into something that they couldn't keep up with. And having the 4 kids, even though there were 3 adults, it's still nerve-wracking with that many kids going that many different directions in a swimming pool. It just makes me kind of nervous. And then they do have lifeguards there, obviously, but it was just a good pool. And I've actually been very pleased with all of Disney's pools. I can say I've not been disappointed by any of their pools. But then the way that resort is, it's really big and it's spread out, and so some of the buildings are kind of a walk to the pool, but I didn't feel like any of it was too terrible. We were probably in one of the farthest buildings from the pool, so it took us maybe 5 minutes to walk over there, maybe a little longer. But on the flip side, we were also one of the closest buildings to the Skyliner. So that was really nice because we were right there. You could hop on the Skyliner and you were at the Hollywood Studios. I mean, maybe 10 minutes total. I mean, it was super fast, just really nice. And then Epcot also, you can get on and go to Epcot from there too. Epcot's a little further, but still, it was not that far. Maybe 15 minutes from our room to Epcot. Not bad at all. And most of that is riding on the Skyliner. So it kind of feels like you're on a ride to get to the park. It's a lot nicer, I feel like, than the buses. But I know some people don't like the Skyliners. But that is something you should know. They don't run buses to Hollywood Studios or Epcot unless the Skyliners are down. So if you are dead set on not riding the Skyliners, that may not be the best option for you unless you have a car that you can drive or you're willing to like Uber or Lyft or something. So that's just something to know. All right, let's talk a little bit about masks. I said, already said that they were required, but I will say at the resorts, they are not super strict. It's common sense. Like, I did not always wear a mask walking from my car to my room or even from like the room over to the main building because there is no one around. It is just me walking down a path outside. And I had it with me, but, and I saw lots of other people doing that too. Like if you saw someone out just walking all by themselves, they weren't wearing a mask either because it just doesn't make sense to wear one. Then, so yeah, we didn't worry. It was not super bad. I was worried they were going to be like super uptight about it and like get onto you if they saw you not wearing one, like trying to unload your car or something, but they were totally not like that. I even saw some people in the lobby and stuff without one on and no one said anything to them. Now, the parks are not that way. The parks are much more uptight about it, and I will say they're reasonable, though, like, they aren't mean. But if they see someone without one, they'll just be like, hey, could you please pull your mask up, or, please stay stationary while you eat, or just, they were nice about it, and I didn't see any issues, honestly, happen with it. And same thing with little kids. We took a third person because I was worried about Bella not wearing a mask, but it actually worked out really fine. She wore a mask pretty much the whole time without even complaining. She'd even be like, oh no, my mask, if we forgot it. But the few times that she didn't wear one and was not interested in wearing one, we had my mom so that she could take her back to the room, but we didn't end up having to do that. She was in the stroller and the Disney people didn't seem to care. And she's little and she was younger then, obviously, than she is now even. But, and I saw other little kids like that too. Now there were some times when I saw them be like, hey, remember to pull your mask up or something to the little kids. But for the most part, when they're really little, like Bella, when they're just riding in their stroller, I didn't really see anyone say much. And again, things could change. I don't know. They might be super uptight about it today and they weren't the other day, but that's the experience I had with that. All right, so that first day we went downtown Disney and we ate at T-Rex. And downtown Disney was super crowded, like super crowded. I was really shocked actually because I kept hearing about how low crowds everything were, and the parks were definitely lower crowds. They were not packed full. But downtown Disney was, I mean, like I remember it was packed full. People don't social distance down there, which that does not bother me. And I mean, I try and social distance to respect people around me, mostly just because I would have done that anyway. I mean, who wants people breathing down their back? But just to let you know, just trying to give you a review of what it's like, and then you decide what you want or what you don't want. But they aren't too terribly worried about social distancing at downtown Disney. People kind of just did whatever they wanted. Same with the masks. People were wearing masks. People were not wearing them right. People didn't have masks on. It was just, I mean, a little bit of everything. So I don't know, it was a fairly laid back atmosphere overall with the whole thing, but I'm fine with that, like I said. So, yeah, T-Rex was great. Food was good. You know, I don't know if you've been there. I mean, it was kind of what it always is. There wasn't really anything too terribly different. We also went to Rainforest, not that same day, obviously. Another day we went back to downtown Disney and did Rainforest, and it was really good too. Actually, a lot better than I remember Rainforest food being. So, and we had a good experience there too. We actually didn't make reservations beforehand. We were just walk up, and they didn't have any openings, but they were able to get us in anyway. So that was a nice pixie dust. So here we are walking into the Magic Kingdom, and yeah, you can tell how low the crowds are. Now, you know, that doesn't mean there's no waits. There were still waits for rides and stuff, but if you have gone to Disney a lot, you know that this crowd level is pretty low. Like the fact that you can walk like that and not be super close to people is just pretty impressive. So yeah, and this was opening around, you know, the beginning of opening. We weren't there like super early or anything, but yeah, I mean, normally this is the busiest part during that time of day, so. All right, so since they're not doing like their full out parades, they are doing these little mini parades. And you guys, I actually really like the mini parades because you still see a lot of characters. They just pop up so you don't have to sit there waiting forever. They seem to come through about maybe every 15 to 20 minutes, I would say. Some days they seem to take longer, some days they seem to come through more, and they have no schedule for it. So like they don't announce when, but once, if you kind of pay attention when you first get there, you kind of see what their pattern is, and they kind of stick with that all day. And each little group that comes by is a little different. But you see there, that's the end of it there with Buzz. So they're super short, but it's perfect because you don't have to sit and wait all day for the parade and then, you know, spend an hour watching the parade and be stuck in this big crowd trying to get out, and then the rides are all crowded, and, you know, like, I mean, I love a good parade, but there were some downsides to it. So this is really nice, the way they're doing these little quick parades. So you see there, and like Bella's not wearing her mask. She's just kind of nibbling, and no one minded, but she's off here by herself, so like, who cares, you know? So. All right, so here's another little character parade that we saw at Epcot. And it's just what you see right here, super short and sweet. But this was really nice because it was like right as we had walked in, and so first thing we get to see were these characters going by, and it was just a fun little way to start. So I feel like Disney's done really good at still having the characters out there for you to see, even though you can't interact with them the way you used to. So that really worked well. They have done good with that. All right, and then this is another thing they do that's really nice is they have a ton of characters. Almost always there seemed to be, almost every time we walked by there were some characters up here. And they had the princesses this time, and there were princesses over on the other side too, and they would rotate and switch out. But that was a really fun, sweet way for the little ones to get to still see the princesses. They also have what they call relaxation stations at all the parks, and it's a room or an area that you can go and just sit and hang out, and it's a no mask area, so you don't have to have a mask on even if you're not eating. And some of them are really nice and just a really nice place to just relax, even if it wasn't a whole mask thing, just it was quiet, nice place to sit down and relax. But so be on the lookout for those if you're looking for something like that. And then, sorry, I don't know what is going on outside. Anyway, to sum it all up, would we go to Disney World again, or would you go to Disney World for the first time during this time with the new COVID restrictions and rules and all that? And here's my answer, is maybe. All right, so would I personally go back with everything going on? Yes, because I have already purchased my tickets. Like, I have annual passes. I can get super cheap rooms right now because of the discounts they're running. So I can do a Disney trip at minimal cost, and like the bulk of that cost has already been paid for. And if I don't go, I actually, I kind of lose. Like, I paid for something that I'm not going to get. So I feel like I'm already kind of financially tied to and committed to doing the trips that I had originally planned. But if I was not, had I not spent any money on Disney World yet, on like season passes, or if I haven't planned a trip yet, then no, I would probably not go right now. There are no fireworks, and not all the restaurants and shops are open. No character dining. That's true character dining. They have some modified versions, but it's kind of like those parades where they just kind of go by. It's not at the level that I feel like it should be for what you pay for those restaurants. So if I was not already financially committed, then no, I would not put money towards it at this time. I would wait till things are back to normal. Another thing with that, if you're someone who goes all the time, every single year, a couple times a year, even if you haven't purchased tickets or anything yet, and you want to go, then I would say it's probably fine. Go ahead and go. You know what Disney's like. You know what you'd be missing. And if you're that kind of person, which we're kind of like that too, then you just enjoy, honestly, walking down Main Street. Like, that makes you happy, and you can still do that. So if you're fine with having a much more relaxed, slow-paced vacation, then go for it. Go ahead and go. The number one person I would say do not go, though, is if you've never been. If you've never been, and you probably won't go back, if this is like your one and only shot to go to Disney World, wait. Don't go right now. You're only going to get just a glimpse of what a Disney trip can really be. And I think you won't know what you're missing out. So you're not going to be like, oh, I wish we had done this or this. But you're not going to really save that much money going right now, because they don't have the same discounts and deals out there for just anyone. Most of their discounts and deals are for annual passes, and then they have some local discounts they're running. But if you are just somebody that lives anywhere and you don't have one of those two things, you're going to pay the same amount that you would have paid at the beginning of this year and not get the same experience.
Mommy?
So my advice to you would be, just wait. If it's going to be your one and only, wait a year or two till things are kind of back to normal, and then go. And you can have the whole Disney package. But it's really just a personal thing. I mean, if you want to go, go. If you don't want to go, don't go. I see that.
That is right there.
But
It's nice.
we had a great time on this trip. We actually do have plans to go back, so before our season passes expire. So we will make another trip here in the near future. I will say that this trip was probably one of the more stressful trips that I have ever taken to Disney World. And it's not because of planning and all that stuff, because there's really not much, Bella, there's really not much to plan right now. It's kind of just, other than your park days, there is a little bit of planning. You have to have park days reserved. You can't just show up at a park. You have to have a reservation to go to the park. And some dining is still, needing reservations, but a lot of the dining you could even get the day of. There was still a lot of opening. So that's not what was stressful. It wasn't planning. What was stressful is the rules and regulations and the unknown. Because it's just, I mean, it's kind of the way to go anywhere and do anything right now. The rules change so quickly, like overnight, you know, there could be new rules or the lack of rules, or so it's just kind of stressful trying to make sure you're staying up with what you're supposed to. And I don't like to get in trouble. So, you know, I don't want to purposely do something that's going to make a huge scene and get me in trouble. That being said, I also don't mind standing up for something I believe in, but that's a whole nother video. But anyway, I just, you know, like, I don't like being caught off guard. I guess that's a good thing. So it was kind of stressful because doing things, you know, like I didn't know what to expect. If I sit down here and I take off my mask, are they going to freak out? If I, you know, like I said earlier, unloading the car and I don't have my mask on, are they going to freak out? If I forget my mask because I was doing something, am I going to get kicked out? But it wasn't that way. Like I walked across, I don't like Main Street or something to go over to a food cart because we'd been sitting and eating, and I got up and I went over to a food cart to get something else, and I forgot to wear my mask over there. No one said anything to me the whole way, and I was standing in line for a little while before I realized, oh, I forgot to put my mask back on, and so I put it back on, and it wasn't a big deal. But it was just things like that I was kind of stressed out about going into it because I didn't know what to expect. Now, I hope going back, I won't be as stressed out because I kind of saw how they were reacting, how they are, that they're reasonable. They're not just like, you're out of here, you can never come back. It was more like, hey, did you realize you don't have your mask on? Or, you know, just they were kind about it. And so then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, sorry. And that was the attitude they had. And I don't know if that attitude is changing or not. I'm hoping it's not because I know the state has actually gotten less restrictive as a whole. And Disney, I know, does their own thing regardless of what the state is doing. But the fact that the state is less uptight, I'm hoping that means that they'll stay the way they were and not be super uptight. And then, of course, obviously, if they want to be less restrictive, I have no problem with that either. But, yeah, so that made it a little stressful. And then this one, just not knowing at her age, I mean, if you have little kids like this, you know there is no guarantee that she's going to wear her shoes or her hair bow or anything, let alone a mask. So that was stressful too. But again, that worked out fine. She was actually very cooperative. And the few times she wouldn't wear it, they were chill about it. They did not seem to care. So yeah, overall, it still was Disney. It still was fun. And yeah, if you want to go, you will have fun. As always, vacations are what you make them, and they can be as fun or as miserable as you want them to be. So have fun. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was helpful or useful or, you know, informed you a little bit. And be sure to ask me any questions that you might have that I didn't think to cover. So I will see you all later. Bye. Bye.